In Lakesh and Veritas, with honor, respect, and gratitude. Welcome everyone to our High Frequency Living in Lakesh Studio One's Evolutionary Book Club tonight, here on the Low to the Sun YouTube channel. We will be discussing the Neverending Story by Michael Ende. It's a fascinating book, so I'm excited to talk about it, and I hope that you'll join me in the comments. I am Diane of the Sun, owner of Inlakesh Studio One, a franchise of the Sun. We offer quantum light property clearing services, truth and tea, call for the truth, divination card readings, and other services and products. Check out our highly vibrational services and products on our website at inlakeshstudio1.com. And so if you're looking for an alkaline coffee, something that will give you energy but not the crash afterwards, this is the Of the Sun, Sun and Sea coffee. It's alkaline. There are very interesting ingredients in here that make it alkaline. It's the organic chlorella, which is the broken cell wall, and it makes the actual beverage an alkaline beverage from that. There's also Lakanto, which is fermented glucose from non-GMO corn, highly purity monk fruit, and hemp milk protein. So if you're interested, you can get this at ofthesun.com or inlakeshstudio1.com. I highly encourage it. And you can do many things with this. You can have it as coffee, as a warm beverage, but you can also add it to like some milk, like non-dairy milk or dairy milk, however you go, and maybe some avocado and some ice. And I believe there's a recipe, I think, on my website in the blog, so you can check that out for the summer. It's a wonderful, wonderful addition. So also check us out on Instagram at Inlakesh Studio One, where every Friday, and today we did this as well, we posted a Frequency Friday. We post a card reading. And so today the card was Freedom, interesting for this weekend. And it's for our sacral chakra. And the maxim reads, allow yourself the freedom to be patient. If you rush through something, you miss the beauty in the moment that was meant for you. Do not stress. So this is a really important message for all of us. Don't rush through things. There are so many things that are for us to experience and learn from. So check that out on Instagram. And so a few other announcements. High Frequency Living offers live streams which focus on high frequency living lifestyle topics and of the Sun classes and modalities like quantum light property clearing, soul translation, light body movement, and other classes and services and products. All the live streams are recorded, so be sure to check out our previous live streams and our podcasts. And join us each week for our live streams. On Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern is Lauren of the Sun with her flowers and frequency. Wednesdays at noon Eastern, myself with midday meditation. And many times we are doing a hand mudra. So I invite you to join me then. On Thursdays at noon Eastern, there's Laota of the Sun and Tavares of the Sun in a Call for the Truth podcast. And they recently have been reviewing the tenets of the Sun. So check those out. And then on Fridays, we have a rotating schedule. So this is the first Friday of the month, and it is the Evolutionary Book Club. And next month, for August, the first Friday will be The Subconscious Speaks. And this is a very, very fascinating book. It's an old book, but it is available. I believe it's available on audio as well. And it's not a thick book, but it's packed with so much information. So I hope you can join us then. And then next week, we will be having the Divination Workshop, and that is the Call for the Truth Divination card. And we do a reading for the group, and it is always a question that we ask about what information we need to know. So I hope you can join us next week, Friday, and the following Friday as well. And that Friday will be the third Friday, and Tavares of the Sun will be joining for that session. So that will be exciting as well. And then the fourth Friday of the month is the Quantum Light Property Clearing Chronicles. And that is with Tavares of the Sun and Lauren of the Sun and Tiffany of the Sun and myself. And we are all seasoned quantum light property clearers and teachers, instructors, tutors. So we hope you can join us that night. We always bring forward some stories and experiences that we've had with this modality. We've all been doing this for quite some time. So if you're interested in learning more, check out the previous recordings as well. So, upcoming July classes with Of the Sun. There's a soul translation, luminous light method with Loa of the Sun on Tuesdays, July 14th, 21st, and 28th, 6 p.m. And energetic protection and defense with Tavares of the Sun on Thursdays, July 16th, 23rd, and 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So for more information, check out the link is in the description of this live stream. If you have any questions, you can also reach out at contact@ofthesun.com, or you can reach out to me at info@inlakeshstudio1.com. So that wraps up our announcements, and I invite you to join me. Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? Shall we call for the highest possible vibration? And shall we call for the truth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we have the courage to speak the truth? Shall we have nothing less than the truth in all of our experiences? All right. So I'm so excited, and I hope you'll join me with comments in the chat, because there were so many things that came forward as I was reading this book. And this is the first time I've read the book, and I haven't watched the movie. But I did see some comments about the movie that it was only the first part of the book. And the author was rather upset and actually I believe he sued the filming company to not distribute the movie. And he said it wasn't what he thought it was going to be. And they didn't really have the proper tone, and it was done, he said, for marketing reasons and things, which probably it was. But it was, I think, even though he didn't agree with it, I think many people have felt that it was a rather good representation. But I think they left out so much of it with just being the first part. So I thought it was so interesting that the author, said he wanted this book to be that we remember the power of stories and also the danger of forgetting who we are. And I thought that was kind of an interesting topic for him to bring forward. And so as I was reading this book, there were so many different things. I've marked lots of pages and I have lots of notes. But I liked how it started with Bastian and who he is, who he was at that time, and how he came to get this book. And I thought it was fascinating that he found the book at the bookstore, and the bookstore owner was kind of grumpy and things like that. And at the end, then when he went back to see the owner and say, "I'm sorry, I took that book and I don't have it anymore." The bookstore owner was so like, "I didn't have that book. I don't remember that book." But when he started talking about the experiences, how he had been there as well. So even though he had a physical book, it was really, I believe, his imagination, and everything that he brought forward were his stories. And that came forward later in the book, where there was a whole city of oh, what was the name of it? A- I want to say Amaranth, but it's not Amaranth, but it's the A- Agarith, maybe. Am Amarganth, Amarganth, and how they had a whole library and it was all of his stories. So it was fascinating with the second after he saved Fantastica, that all of his adventures and how that took him on his journey. But before he could save Fantastica, he had to save himself. And part of that was getting over that fear. He was afraid that the childlike empress wouldn't like him and think, because of his physical appearance. And when he actually saw her and met her, she said, "What do you mean? You are not that." And so he changed himself also in this process. He got his courage. It took him some time. He was very doubtful. And so it was very interesting, I thought. Um, but there were all the different adventures that not only Bastian went on, but also a True at the beginning in the first part. And one of the things that stood out for me was when a True was with the werewolf, and the wolf said, "People who have no hope are easy to control." And I think that's rather applicable to where we are today, where a lot of people don't have hope and things are easy to control. So it's something to think about, that this book is a quote fantasy book, but there are many parts of it that we can apply to what is happening in our world and what was happening. This was in the early 80s, so things were happening at that time as well. They've accelerated now, but I think it's fascinating how he brought it forward in all of these different ways. Many, many different adventures, many different ways um, to overcome these things and have hope, because he did have hope in the end. Um, so there's a couple comments here. And welcome, everyone. Thank you, In Lakesh and Veritas Tavares, and In Lakesh and Veritas Lauren, and everyone else who's joined. Tavares has a comment here. He said, "While the author's quarrel with the film is new to me, this seems to be quite typical of Hollywood film adaptations." I think so, because I think if you're the author, you've written your book in a certain way and you have a vision of what it looks like. And then when someone else picks it up, they don't always see it that same way. So, yes, I thought that was interesting. And then he says, yes, Bastion was interconnected with Atreyu, I think is Atreyu. I was listening to the book and reading it. I was back and forth because I thought it was fascinating. So thank you. Thank you for your comments, Tavares. And I like the childlike empress, the golden-eyed commander of wishes. And it was rather interesting, some of those different rules that they have. And, you can only see the childlike empress one time. She has to have a new name because she was dying and Fantastica was dying. And it was rather interesting. But she said, "Oh, the world is full of things you don't see." And she was talking to Atreyu about Bastion coming, to save her and Fantastica. And she never doubted that he was coming. She just knew that she had different steps to take. Okay, he's not coming right now. All right, what else can I do to assist him? And so I thought that was really important too. And Atreyu, at the beginning, he gave up the hunt so that he could be something greater. And that was shown to him when he faced that purple buffalo that said, "Oh, you didn't kill me. I am here now to help you." So I thought some of those things were pretty interesting. And then Tavares has another comment. He said, "I read this book through a whole new lens, through new ears and eyes. I interpreted Bastion's experience, a holographic connection with Atreyu and the world of Fantastica as a whole." Yes, I agree with you. I think they were together. And at one point I thought I remembered that there was some reference to that. They were the same. And he mentions, "I also saw a connection with the childlike empress and the divine feminine." Yes, I saw that as well, because it seemed that she was the only, not the only female, but mostly there were mostly men. And he said, "What was fascinating was how everyone in Fantastica, whether benevolent or malevolent, relied on her for existence." They did. And that was really rather interesting. They were all, how many? 500 doctors were trying to help her, and they didn't know. And so that's how they found Atreyu, to find out what could they do, what was the answer. And it was interesting that when he came back to her, he didn't want to tell her that he didn't have the answer. He had the answer, but he couldn't help her. And she said, "Yes, you do. Yes, you can. You can help me." And that's where she brought Bastion in, and he was Atreyu with the gem. A ruin was the gem that she saw. It was really her vision. So that was pretty cool. And it was fascinating that when they talked about, well, the werewolf was talking about giving up hope, that it makes you weak, and then the nothing will pull you and you have no strength. And that was when Atreyu did not have his gem, the Orin, and it was fascinating to see how he was fighting, but he just couldn't. And then when Falkor came and found the gem at the bottom of the ocean and brought it to him, and he was able to help. So that was a fascinating thing because they had to keep fighting. Everyone had to keep fighting, but they always had hope. So here's another comment. I interpreted Atreyu as the divine masculine and the inner child. He was pure of heart and had to take action on what the childlike emperor saw through her intuition. This was so esoteric and metaphysical. Oh, yes. Thank you for bringing that forward, Tavares. That is a great interpretation. Yes, I can see that. I see that there was that interaction of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and working together. Thank you. That was a great, yes, I like that idea. Thank you. And also, there were so many parts of where both Atreyu and Bastian were getting their strength. They were removing fear. Atreyu, when he went through the 3 gates, he was like, oh, how am I going to get through there? And I don't see 3 gates. I only see 1. And how am I going to get through there? And it was fascinating that once he got there, he was not afraid. His courage just took over and he was like, I'm going in. I'm going in. And so it was that divine masculine that was the action. He was taking the action on what needed to be done. So, and I saw Falkor as a very steady, safe being. He was somebody who kept an even keel. He kept things even, especially in the second part where he was trying to help Bastian see what he needed to see, and keeping him safe, keeping Atreyu safe, keeping all of them safe. And I really liked that. I liked all of those stories, all those different adventures that Bastian had to go through in order to find himself again. And one of the things that, I don't remember if I wrote that down, but one of the things I remember about his travels is about Atreyu said to him about the gem, and the gem was the Orin, the gem, was the maker of wishes, and he had to just keep making wishes. And it brought all the egotistical things to him. At first it wasn't, but then it became, well, I can do this. This is me. I'm Bastian Bucks. Where's the rest of his name? I can't remember all the rest of his name, but it was so interesting that his ego took over. And that's what Atreyu said. It gives you the means to make your wishes come true, but it also takes away your purpose because your ego gets involved. And I thought that was fascinating. It has the power to make your wishes come true. But at the same time, it takes something away. It takes the memory of your world. So you need to have your memory of what was. Not that you're going to necessarily do that again, but I think that's fascinating. So thank you. Lauren has a comment. This took me back to my childhood. Engaging with it now, I have a different understanding. The idea of the nothing exists in us only if we feed it with our negative emotions, literally erasing us. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that comment. That's so true. Because that nothing is the anti life. And if we continue to feed it, it does erase us. And when we erase it, then we bring forward our best self and our understandings. So I thought it was interesting once he created that I thought that was an interesting name too, the Paralin forest. And that was the night forest that grew, and then he changed his mind and he didn't want the forest anymore. He wanted a desert. And as he moved through all these different adventures, I'll say, um, he didn't seem to really learn the lesson, which is why he had to keep going into something different. And Atreyu kept trying to tell him, let's do it this way. I have a suggestion. And he was like, no, this is mine. I'm doing this. So I thought it was very interesting. Interesting book. And then at the end, how it came forward to, he thought he was gone for years and he was only gone for a day. And his father then, because he had been gone, his relationship with his father changed. And that's what he really wanted, I believe, in the beginning, was he wanted to have his father back. And so he did. He had to go through all kinds of things to get there. But I think this is really a journey. We're all on this journey in our own ways, and we all have our adventures and lessons that we learn from or not, maybe have to repeat and keep coming back to. And I think it's fascinating. And so I'm so looking forward to reading this again, because I think each time there's always something different. And as Lauren said, and Tavares, both of you said that you've seen it through a different lens now. And especially what's happening, if you relate it now to what's happening in our world, and we can see how things are evolving, and that there are things that need changing and need to be destroyed to have rebirth. And that's what this was all about, I think, too. So if there are no more questions or comments, then we'll close our session for tonight. I think I hope that everybody's enjoyed this book. And I'm going to look to watch the movie too, just to see how it is different from the book. But I love books because it does give you the opportunity to create these images in your imagination. And they're yours. A movie is someone's imagination, but it's not yours. So I really like this book. So I hope you will join us next week for our Divination Workshop with the Call for the Truth Divination cards. And then next month on August, the first Friday of August, for the Subconscious Speaks. So thank you once again for joining me tonight. And I leave you with In Lakesh and Veritas, with honor, respect, gratitude, integrity, discipline, and action.